We'll start in 1 minute. We'll start section 3.3 part A in a few minutes. It's another section that has to do with equations of lines. But first we'll finish what we left off with yesterday. So we started this problem. The caterer charges $12 per dinner plus a $30 service charge for catering. If capital C is the total catering charges in dollars and D is the number of dinners prepared, then the cost for catering is described by this equation. C equals 12 times D plus 30. So yesterday we found the total catering charges if 8 dinners are prepared. We just replaced D with 8 in the equation and did the arithmetic, and the catering charges is $126. The slope of the line is 12, but the slope has units. in the form of a rate. So what are the units for the slope 12?
12 for one dinner.
What is it?
12 for one dinner.
Yeah, dollars per dinner. Instead of y equals 12x plus 30, we have c equals 12d plus 30. So you could think of the slope as having the form c2 minus c1 divided by d2 minus d1. And the units for the cost, or the charges, are dollars. And the unit for lowercase d is dinners. So the units are dollars per dinner. So the slope is $12 per dinner. So how do we apply this slope or how do we interpret the slope besides saying that it's $12 per dinner?
12 over 1.
Yeah, you could, like an economist's interpretation would be that if you increase the number of dinners by 1, you increase the catering charges by $12. So I'll just write that down. For each additional dinner, the catering charges increase by $12. Maybe it would be better to say the catering charge increases by $12. Okay, now we could start section 3, part A. At the top, equations of lines in the variables x and y have the following forms. We've seen the standard form, ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c represent constant real numbers. X and y are the variables. And remember that in the standard form, a could be 0, but if a is 0, b cannot be 0, and vice versa. The slope-intercept form that we saw for the first time yesterday, y equals mx plus b. So this is called the slope-intercept form, because if y equals mx plus b, the coefficient of x, the number m, is the slope. So the slope is m, and b is the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. So hence the term slope-intercept form. So the ordered pair 0b is the y-intercept. Okay, a new form for a line, for an equation of a line and the variables x and y is called the point slope form. And this one is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. This is called the point slope form because a point on the line is the ordered pair x1, y1, and then the slope is m. Hence the term point-slope form. So in this equation, x and y are the variables. X1, y1 they represent constant real numbers, and the slope m represents a constant real number. Okay, the point-slope form is a very useful form to apply in various cases. The point-slope form is often used when the slope of a line is known, as well as the ordered pair of a point that is on the line. Okay, so we'll spend a few minutes practicing finding equations of lines. So find equations of the lines described below. A line with slope -1/4 passes through the point -8, -2. So the ordered pair is -8, -2. Okay, this is the type of situation that is described above when using the point-slope form. So in this case, m is -1/4, and our x1, y1 is the ordered pair -8, -2. And then we can just apply the point-slope form to get an equation for that line. So the point-slope form says on the left-hand side, y minus y1. So we can write y minus -2, because -2 is the y1. And that's equal to the slope -1/4 times the quantity x minus x1, so x minus -8. So as always, be careful with subtractions and negatives. Make sure you don't drop a sign somewhere and foul everything up. Okay, we'll simplify a little bit more. Y minus -2 is y plus 2. And that's equal to -1/4 times the quantity x plus 8, because x minus -8 is the same as x plus 8. Hey, if you don't have any more instructions on finding an equation for the line, then this is a satisfactory answer for the equation of that line. But make sure you always read the directions carefully. If the directions say write the equation in slope-intercept form, that is the y equals mx plus b form, then there's a little bit more work to do if that's the case. So let's go ahead and write it in slope-intercept form. So for now, we'll leave the left-hand side the same, y plus 2. And on the right-hand side, we'll distribute multiplication by -1/4 over the binomial x plus 8. So -1/4 times x is -1/4 times x. And then we're going to add -1/4 times 8. That's equivalent to adding -2, which is equivalent to subtracting 2. And then the last step, subtract 2 from both sides, and we get y equals -1/4 x minus 4. So this is the slope-intercept form. Okay, the next problem, number 2. Find the equation of the line that passes through the points -3, 2, and 2, -6. As we saw in the previous problem, number 1, if we know the slope of a line and the coordinates of one point on the line, then that's enough to find an equation for the line. Since we're given the ordered pairs of 2 points on the line, we can find the slope by using the slope formula. So let's go ahead and find the slope of the line that passes through those 2 points. So in the numerator, I'll write 2 minus -6. 2 minus -6, and in the denominator, -3 minus 2. And 2 minus -6 is the same as 2 plus 6, which is 8. And in the denominator, -3 minus 2 is -5. So the slope is -8/5. Okay, we have 2 options on how to proceed. We can use either of the 2 ordered pairs as our x1, y1. It doesn't matter which one you pick. So I'll pick -3, 2 and write the equation in point slope form. So the point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. Okay, x1 is -3 and y1 is 2. So y minus y1 is y minus 2. And that's equal to the slope -8/5 times, in parentheses, x minus -3. We should do a little bit more arithmetic and write this as y minus 2 equals -8/5 times the quantity x plus 3. We can leave this in point slope form. If you would rather use the other ordered pair as the x1, y1, you can. Let's do that over here. So this time the x1 is 2 and the y1 is -6. So y minus y1 is y minus -6 equals the slope -8/5 times in the quantity, which is in parentheses, x minus 2. And then do a little bit more arithmetic here. Y minus -6 is y plus 6. And that's equal to -8/5 times x minus 2. Well, you might not believe it, but those 2 equations represent the exact same line. At the very least, we observe that they have the same slopes, -8/5. So the 2 possibilities, if 2 lines have the same slope, one possibility is that the lines are parallel, having different y-intercepts. The other possibility is that they are the same line. And these 2 lines are exactly the same line. So how could you verify that the 2 lines really are the same line? You could graph them, and you would find that one overlaps the other. But there's another way, there's an algebraic way to do it.
That would be the slope-intercept form.
Yeah, if we rewrite each of the two equations in slope-intercept form, then they will be identical. So I'll leave that for you to do. You should convince yourself that those really are the same line. So consider that part of your homework. Rewrite each of those in the form y equals mx plus b. And if you don't make any mistakes, you'll get identical results, y equals mx plus b. Okay, number 3, the graph of the line. Find the equation of the line by using the graph of the line. Well, we're missing a graph, so I'll just graph a line. So suppose one of the ordered pairs is -2, 1, and another ordered pair is 3, -2. And then a straight line through those 2 points. Okay, find an equation of that line. Well, this is pretty much like the previous problem. Since we have the ordered pairs of 2 points, we can find the slope. We can also use the graph to find the slope. So if we go from one point to the other along vertical and horizontal line segments, for example, going from -2, 1 to 3, -2, well, if we move down 1, 2, 3, so that's -3 in the vertical direction, move down 3 units, and then move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right, that's +5 in the horizontal direction. So the slope is -3/5. If you don't want to do it that way, you can use the slope formula to find the slope. Okay, then pick one or the other of the ordered pairs as x1, y1. So I'll pick the ordered pair 3, -2 for the x1, y1. And then I'll write the slope, or the point slope form. Okay, so y minus -2 equals -3/5 times the quantity x minus 3. And then the y minus -2 should be simplified to y plus 2. Y plus 2 equals -3/5 times the quantity x minus 3. Okay, the next problem, number 4. Find the equation of the line that is horizontal and passes through the point 4, -1. So take a few seconds and answer that question. What's the equation for the horizontal line that passes through the point 4, -1? So you can type that in. You can do this in 10 seconds probably. Or if it takes more than that, that's okay. Okay, let's go ahead and graph a horizontal line through the point 4, -1. So point 4, -1. Okay, so here's the ordered pair 4, -1. And a horizontal line looks like this. Well, something like this. So pretend like that's a horizontal line that passes through the point 4, -1. Yeah, so on this horizontal line, even though the x values change, the y values are always -1. So no matter what other point you pick on the line, so if you pick -3 for x, the y coordinate is still -1. So we say the equation for that horizontal line is y equals -1. Incidentally, what's the equation for the x-axis? I'll just write that down as an aside. It's a related question. The equation for the x-axis is fill in the blank. Well, the x-axis is a horizontal line. What does every point on the x-axis have in common with every other point on the x-axis?
0.
What's 0?
The coordinate for x.
The what?
Coordinate for x. Would it be 0?
Well, on the x-axis, x could be any number between -infinity and +infinity. Right? X could be anything on the x-axis. But there's another entity that is always the same. Okay, pick a point on the x-axis and find the x and y coordinates. So in this picture, I'll pick this point. What's the x coordinate for that point? 2. What's the y coordinate for that point? 0. Pick another point on the x-axis, like this one. The x coordinate for that point?
-1.
-1 for x. What's the y coordinate?
0.
0. So every point on the x-axis has a y coordinate of 0. Therefore, the equation for the x-axis?
0.
Huh?
0.
I need an equation.
X equals. X equals.
No, x is -1 here, and x is +2 there. So x can be anything.
Y equals 0.
Y equals 0. The equation for the x-axis is y equals 0. So in the xy plane, every horizontal line has an equation of the form y equals some number, and that number is the same as the y coordinate of every point on that horizontal line. Okay, now let's do part 5. Find an equation for the vertical line that passes through the point 4, -1. So it's the same point, 4, -1. But this time we have a vertical line. So what's the equation for that vertical line? Okay, pick another point. Let's pick this point on the vertical line. The x-coordinate is 4, and the y-coordinate is 2.
X equals 4.
Yeah, the vertical line that passes through 4, -1, the equation for that vertical line is x equals 4. Because every point on that vertical line has an x-coordinate of 4. Therefore, x equals 4 is the equation. Hey, what's the equation for the y-axis? Hey, what's the equation for the y-axis? The y-axis is a vertical line. So the y values could be anything.
Is it x equals 0?
It is x equals 0. If you pick any point on the y-axis, the x-coordinate is always 0. Therefore, the equation for that vertical line is x equals 0, because the x-coordinate on that line is always 0, right? Okay, let's move on to the next page. Find equations of the lines described below. Find the equation of the line that is parallel to y equals -4x plus 4, and which passes through the point 5, -1. Yes, so let's identify a few things about the new line whose equation we're trying to find. What's the slope of the new line if it's parallel to y equals -4x plus 4? If two lines are parallel, what do we know about them?
They have the same slope.
They have the same slope. So I'll write that down over here as a reminder. Parallel lines have the same slope. The given line is in the slope-intercept form. So the given line has a slope of -4, right? Y equals mx plus b. So the new line that's parallel will have the same slope. So the new line has a slope of -4. And the new line passes through the point 5, -1. So we can describe that as our x1, y1 is 5, -1. Okay, then use the point slope form. Since we have the slope in a point, so it's y minus y1. In this case, y minus -1 equals the slope -4 times the quantity x minus x1. Okay, if we do the arithmetic, y minus -1 is y plus 1. And we'll end up getting it into slope-intercept form. So -4x plus 20. And then to get it into slope-intercept form, we subtract 1 from both sides. And we get y equals -4x plus 19. So that is the slope-intercept form. Okay, so one of the solutions online was y equals -4x minus 1. But I assume that this -1 was just put in there. But that would not be the case unless the x coordinate is 0. So if the x coordinate is not 0, you can't use -1 as the number that goes in the place of b in the slope-intercept form. Hey, there's a question online. Will there ever be an equation that asks for us to find a line that isn't the true line? No, I don't think so. Okay, so this ordered pair represents a point, 1 point in the xy plane. X is 5 and y is -1. So the line passes through that point. You can verify that 5, -1 is a point on the line if in this equation you replace x with 5 and y with -1, you'll get a true statement. Because -4 times 5 is -20, -20 plus 19 is -1. So that's a check. The ordered pair of 5, -1 is a point on this line. Okay, number 2. A line that is perpendicular to y equals 4x minus 5 passes through the point -4, 2. The slope of the given line is +4. You can think of that as 4/1. The new line, whose equation we're trying to find, is perpendicular to the given line. So we use what we know about finding slopes of lines that are perpendicular. So what's the slope of the new line if the new line is perpendicular to the line y equals 4x minus 5?
-1/4.
Yeah, -1/4. The negative reciprocal of 4/1 is -1/4. And this new line that's perpendicular to the given line passes through the point -4, 2. So our x1, y1 is the ordered pair -4, 2. So we can write down the point slope form. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Take a few seconds to write down the point slope form, and then you can type the answer in. Okay, did you get it? The slope is -1/4, and our x1, y1 is -4, 2. So the point slope form, y minus y1, in this case is y minus 2. And that's equal to the slope -1/4 times the quantity x minus -4. X minus -4 simplifies to x plus 4. Okay, so this is our point slope form. And let's go ahead and write it in slope-intercept form. So first, on the right-hand side, distribute multiplication by -1/4 over the binomial x plus 4. So -1/4 times x, and then plus -1/4 times 4 is plus -1 or -1. And then finally, we add 2 to both sides, and we get y equals -1/4 x plus 1. So this is the slope-intercept form. The y equals mx plus b. Okay, the next problem is a little more challenging. A line that is parallel to 5x minus 4y equals -3 passes through the point 2, -1. The disadvantage this time is that the given line is not in slope-intercept form, it's in standard form. So we need to be able to find the slope of this line, but we know how to do that. There's more than one way to do it. There's one way that's not too hard. Okay, so the given line, let's begin with that. 5x minus 4y equals -3. How should we find the slope of that line? Well, if we solve that equation for y, then it will be in slope-intercept form. It will be in the y equals mx plus b form. And then we can just look at the coefficient of x to know what the slope is. So solve this equation for y, begin by subtracting 5x from both sides. So we get negative 4y equals negative 5x minus 3. And then divide every term on both sides by negative 4. We get y equals positive 5/4 x plus 3/4. Okay, the new line is parallel to this given line. So the new line, we know what its slope is. The slope is the same as the slope of the given line, which is 5/4. And the new line passes through the point, passes through the point 2, -1. So our x1, y1 is the ordered pair 2, -1. So now we can write the point slope form. So y minus -1 equals the slope 5/4 times the quantity x minus 2. Or y plus 1 equals 5/4 times x minus 2. Okay, this is the point slope form. That's a perfectly fine form. If you're required to write it in slope-intercept form, then you have a couple of more steps in order to get it into y equals mx plus b. Okay, the next problem involves the given line is the same and the point is the same, but this time we want to find an equation of the line that's perpendicular to 5x minus 4y equals -3, and which passes through the point 2, -1. Okay, so we can borrow the work that we did in the previous problem. So the given line has a slope of 5/4. The new line is perpendicular to the given line. So what will the slope of the new line be? Since the new line is perpendicular to the given line, what's the slope of the new line? Yeah, -4/5. It's the negative reciprocal of 5/4. So it's -4/5. And the new line passes through the point 2, -1. So that means our x1, y1 is 2, -1. And then we'll just use the point slope form. So y minus y1 is y minus -1 equals the slope -4/5 times the quantity x minus 2. So when you're applying the point slope form, make sure that you always put the x minus x1 inside parentheses. Okay, we should simplify this a little bit on the left-hand side. Y minus -1 is y plus 1. That's equal to -4/5 times x minus 2 in parentheses. Okay, the next one Find the equation of a line that is parallel to x equals -5 and passes through the point -3, -1. So if you immediately know what that equation is, you can go ahead and tell me, write in the equation online. Okay, in the xy plane, what does the line x equals -5 look like? What does that line look like? X equals -5. Well, if this is where -5 is on the x-axis, what does the line x equals -5 look like?
Is that a vertical line?
It's a vertical line. Because on this vertical line, every x coordinate is -5. So the equation is x equals -5. Okay, well, another line is parallel to that line and passes through the point -3, -1. So I'll plot this point and label it -3, -1. Okay, so what is the line? What does that line look like if it passes through this point and is parallel to the vertical line x equals -5?
Also vertical?
It is also vertical. If a line is parallel to a vertical line, then that line is also vertical. And so what's the equation of this vertical line that passes through the ordered pair -3, -1?
X equals -3?
Yeah, x equals -3. Yeah, I got a correct response online as well as in class. So the answer is x equals -3. Remember in the xy plane, vertical lines have equations of the form x equals some number. Okay, we're out of time, so go ahead and sign in for attendance. Okay, we have everyone's attendance.
Yeah.
I emailed